From a small roadside establishment in Kentucky, KFC rose to become a giant in the fast food industry, with thousands of outlets spread across more than 100 countries. It not only brings the unmistakable taste of Western-style fried chicken to every corner of the globe, but also stands as a living testament to the power of perseverance and passion. Founded in the 1950s by Colonel Harland Sanders, KFC achieved worldwide fame thanks to its secret blend of 11 herbs and spices, a mystery that even the finest chefs have been unable to decipher, and which will likely remain a subject of debate at dinner parties for years to come. Yet behind those golden, crispy pieces of chicken lies a little-known story. Before his name became synonymous with a culinary empire, Harland Sanders was once a poor man, mistaken for a beggar, and ruthlessly trampled by life. His journey is not merely about building a chain of renowned restaurants, it's about a man who refused to let fate dictate his life, inspiring millions to dare to dream big regardless of their humble beginnings. Harlan Sanders was born in a ramshackle wooden house in Henryville, Indiana, a tiny rural town where the barren land and scarce opportunities were as rare as summer rain. His family possessed little more than a few parcels of unyielding land and a small flock of chickens that his parents raised to survive. As the eldest of three siblings, Harlan quickly learned to be self-reliant, growing up amidst grueling labor to help support his family. Every morning, before the sun had even begun to rise, he would get up from his hard wooden bed, slip into his tattered old jacket, the only garment that kept him warm during the biting winters. Harlan's small hands became accustomed to wielding a pickaxe, fetching water from the nearby stream, and doing odd jobs around the village to earn a few coins to buy bread for the entire family. His father was a hard-working laborer, toiling in the fields from early morning until dark to support the family. His mother was a strong woman with calloused hands from heavy labor, yet her heart was always warm, imparting gentle wisdom. A person's worth isn't measured by money or fine clothes, it lies in perseverance and sincerity. Don't let anyone take away your faith. She would often say this as the family gathered around a modest dinner table. Those simple words burned into the young boy's soul like a small, smoldering flame, ready to ignite when life tested him. But Harlan's life was not always filled with tranquil mornings in the fields or simple family dinners. When he was 6 years old, tragedy struck like a cold wind slicing through the fields. His father suddenly passed away, leaving his mother widowed with three young children. In an instant, Harlan's world was turned upside down. The afternoons when his father taught him how to tie his shoes were gone, as was the sound of his father's laughter echoing during family gatherings around the hearth. His mother had to work day and night at a nearby garment factory, often leaving before dawn and returning only after the children had gone to sleep. Even as just a boy, Harlan became the man of the house, cooking, doing laundry, and taking care of his younger siblings, Josephine and Clarence, all with the clumsy efforts of a child. Meals became simpler than ever. Yet even in their state of destitution, his mother maintained the habit of sitting down with the children each evening, even if only for a few minutes, to share stories or remind them of hope. Harlan nodded, his brown eyes shining with naive trust, though inside the boy that light sometimes felt like a faint glimmer amid the storm of life, a light whose duration he could not yet predict. One stormy evening in Louisville, a 16-year-old Harlan trudged along the rain-soaked streets, the downpour seeping through the worn soles of his shoes and his tattered, thin jacket. He paused in front of an elegant restaurant on 4th Street where warm yellow light streaming from the glass doors accentuated the disheveled figure of the impoverished youth. Through the misted glass, Harlan saw diners inside laughing and chatting around tables laden with roast meat, mashed potatoes, and steaming bread. Standing there, with a few coins clutched in his pocket, he dreamed of the day he could open a place like that, a restaurant that would serve delicious meals to everyone regardless of wealth. He whispered to himself, "Someday I'll make it." But that dream was quickly dashed by mocking laughter behind him. Harlan turned to see a middle-aged man in a sharp suit, his eyes cold and cutting like a knife. "Look at that ragged kid dreaming fanciful dreams," the man sneered, his tone laced with sarcasm over the sound of falling rain. Before Harlan could react, a group of youths appeared out of nowhere, their eyes filled with contempt fixed on him. "You stinky beggar," one shouted, accompanied by a burst of scornful laughter. "Damn it, stay away from me," another added, pointing at Harlan's shabby jacket as if it were something disgusting. The atmosphere suddenly turned suffocating. Harlan stood frozen, not out of fear, but in shock, unable to comprehend why he was being treated this way. Yet the crowd did not stop at mere words. One man lunged forward, shoving him hard into a wall, nearly causing him to fall. A bottle flew through the air and shattered on his shoulder, leaving behind streaks of grimy water and tiny shards of glass cutting into his skin. Then came powerful kicks to his back and legs, as if intent on tearing away the last shred of hope he had left. Harlan collapsed onto the rain-soaked pavement, the falling rain mingling with the blood from the cuts on his hand. He did not resist or scream. He silently endured, his mind swirling in a haze. Time seemed to stand still, filled only with the relentless patter of heavy rain and Harlan's labored breathing. At that very moment, a sharp voice sliced through the night. "Stop right now! Have you all lost your humanity?" Out of the darkness stepped a middle-aged woman, small in stature yet undeniably strong. It was Mrs. Carter, a widow who worked at the nearby grocery store and had often seen Harland wandering on foot each evening. She rushed into the midst of the crowd, her hand raised as if to halt the violence. "Enough!" she shouted, her eyes meeting those of the young men without a trace of fear. Her voice boomed like thunder, and in an instant, the entire crowd fell silent, as if a bolt of lightning had shattered the oppressive gloom. Harland, in pain and utterly exhausted, slowly opened his eyes. Through the rain, he saw the steadfast face of Mrs. Carter, the only one brave enough to stand up amid the storm of prejudice. The crowd retreated. A few even bowed their heads, their eyes flickering with remorse. Mrs. Carter helped Harlan to his feet. Her hand trembled slightly, yet her voice remained firm. "Don't let them define you, Harlan. You're stronger than that." Harlan nodded silently, but inside a flame was ignited. He vowed to himself, "I am not a beggar. I have weathered storms and I will prove my worth." That promise resonated within him like a bell signaling a profound awakening, not only for himself but as a challenge to the world. Slowly, the crowd dispersed, the taunts fading into an awkward silence. Mrs. Carter led Harlan to her grocery store, bandaging the wounds on his hand with a clean piece of cloth. "Life isn't fair, but you can," Mash said in a gentle yet powerful voice. Harlan nodded, his eyes shining with determination. That night, beneath the cold, drenching rain, he realized that every kick and every mocking word was not the end, but fuel for his journey forward. In the years that followed, Harlan did whatever it took to survive. By the age of 20, he was driving trains for a railroad company, spending hours in a sweltering cab just to earn a few dollars. Later, he sold insurance, walking miles along dirt roads to knock on doors, only to be met with curt rejections and forced, half-hearted smiles. There was even a time when he worked as a gas station attendant at a roadside stop, standing under the scorching Kentucky sun to fuel dusty trucks, his hands stained dark with engine oil. Yet no matter how grueling his work became, the dream of owning a fried chicken restaurant never faded. Every night after his shifts, he would return to his small rented room and sit by a modest stove to experiment with cooking. He blended spices, grilled inexpensive chicken bought from the market, and meticulously recorded every recipe in an old notebook. There was one time when he even burned an entire pan of oil after trying to add black pepper. The smoke was so thick that neighbors had to knock on his door. Those failures didn't discourage him, they were lessons, the first bricks laid for his future. After hundreds of experiments, Harlan finally discovered the perfect formula, 11 herbs and spices that he guarded as if they were a treasure. He never revealed exactly what they were. Instead, he would just smile and later tell his friends, "It's like love, don't ask why, just enjoy it." At the age of 40, Harlan opened his very first fried chicken restaurant at a gas station in Corbin, Kentucky. It wasn't a fancy restaurant, just a small corner with a few worn wooden tables, a makeshift grill, and a crooked handwritten sign reading Sanders Fried Chicken. But the unique flavor of his chicken quickly spread. Locals flocked in, then passing travelers pulled over to try it, and soon people from other states began coming by on word of mouth. One day, a truck driver from Tennessee, after savoring a piece of chicken, couldn't stop marveling, "Oh my gosh, how can it be this good? I'm going to come back here every week." Harland laughed heartily and replied, "Just keep coming back. I'm happy to serve you." That small shop was more than just a place to sell chicken. It was a story. A story about a poor man, once mistaken for a beggar and trampled by life, now standing behind the counter with a confident smile and wearing a white suit he had sewn himself from cheap fabric. From that humble beginning, KFC was born, growing from a gas station corner into a global chain that carries the legacy of a man who proved that with perseverance and passion, you can turn even the darkest days into the brightest light. But success didn't come overnight. As KFC began to expand, Harland faced countless new challenges, fierce competition from other chains, financial losses, and even doubts within himself. At the age of 65, when many had already retired, he was forced to sell his first company at a pittance because a new highway had diverted customers away from his old restaurant. Yet, he never gave up. With only a few $100s in his pocket and the secret chicken recipe in his mind, Harlan drove his old Ford all across America, knocking on the doors of restaurants to pitch his franchise idea. He slept in his car, ate dry bread, and was rejected over 1,000 times before he found the first person who agreed. "I'm not just selling chicken, I'm selling a dream, with a little extra spice to make it even better," he told his very first partner, a man named Pete Harmon in Utah. From there, KFC exploded onto the scene. Franchise locations sprang up quickly from California to New York, then across the border to Canada, the UK, and even further. By the 1970s, Harland, now known as Colonel, thanks to an honorary title from the state of Kentucky, had become a familiar face on television, sporting his white suit, black tie, and salt and pepper hair. He wasn't just the face of KFC, he was an emblem of the American spirit. A man who built an empire from nothing, not through luck, but through sweat, tears, and a touch of madness. Today, when you bite into a piece of KFC chicken, you're not just savoring the flavor of 11 herbs and spices, you're tasting the story of Harland Sanders. It's the story of a poor boy running across the fields of Indiana, a teenager knocked down by the rain, and a man who rose from the ashes to conquer the world. His legacy isn't just about fried chicken. It's a reminder that no matter how many times life tramples you, you can always get back up, find your own recipe, and turn your scars into light.